Welcome to the Dog and Gus Show, now on Feel It Radio.
Oh, boy. You didn't forget.
I didn't.
So what's going on today, Doc?
Well, today we're doing something a little different. We've got Jayson Saikley in, the man, the myth, the legend. We'll talk a bit about what he does and why he's here today.
What's your Instagram handle again? My Vinyl
Addiction 45.
Do you prefer a 45 or do you prefer...
45 is one of those things like way back when I did start DJing, I used a lot of 45s, but 45 was also a sports number that I used when I played basketball and just kind of stuck around. And, you know, there's so many handles on there on Instagram, so I had to try to find my own little niche. And 45 has been a part of my life basically since I was a teenager. So
it's like a number.
Just its favorite number. So just kept it going.
Well, that's cool.
Nice. So make sure to look that up and follow him, because the guy puts up amazing posts, and we're going to talk a bunch about that in a few minutes here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you ever need a record and are looking to locate the record, you send this guy a DM.
Yep, for sure. And when he goes on his little trips, and we'll talk a little bit about that, he did find one for me that I couldn't find. And, it's going to be awesome.
That is cool. That is
yep,
cool.
for all the people. And there's such a resurgence now with vinyl, which is exciting for us, right? Us guys who collect vinyl.
Absolutely. There's and it's more than just guys. Like, you know, I love seeing like my generation come into the garage and we exchange rock stories, but I'm seeing more and more of like father and young daughters coming in and flipping through, and you'd be amazed at the younger generation. We're talking 12 to 20, like their range of music. That just blows me away, where I'm looking at this young girl, 13, 14, and she's grabbing stuff that I don't even have in my collection, and it's older, and it's like, how do you even know this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's refreshing almost, right?
It is refreshing. I mean, I'm not against new music, but I'm not a huge fan of what's happening Billboard-wise, and that personally, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but personally, I'm not crazy about it. And to see that kids are gravitating to different stuff, it's a super cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even I got back, I mean, I didn't get into it till later anyway, but Dog was always telling me about vinyl and for years and years and years. And then, you know, I found this old record player on the side of the road. It was a Sony. And all I had to do was change the needle, and the thing's amazing. It sounds amazing. I had old speakers that I set up, and then I know my mom, who's a big fan of the show, she was the first vinyl I received. She bought me Jimi Hendrix Experience, which is huge for me because I'm a big Jimi Hendrix fan. And then I went down to their basement, and lo and behold, underneath the stairs, there's, 75 vinyls, including like Thrillers down there, and obviously Saturday Night Fever, and my mom really liked Neil Diamond, so there's a bunch of that. And
Fleetwood
Mac was down there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was amazing, and it's kind of I love listening to records now. I think it's a great way to listen to music.
To me, it's the whole thing, right? It's like you're grabbing the vinyl. Artwork is huge for me. You grab it, you physically take it out. There's a process to put it on your turntable. There's the cleaning rituals that everybody has their own little nuances of what they do. But at the end of the day, it is an actual get up off your butt. Grab something out of your Calyx unit or however you store your record. You take it, you place it down, you pop the needle down, a little crackle and pop sometimes with some albums, and then you let it go. And the beauty of it for me is because I do a lot of my listening in the daytime while I'm working. Well, most albums are 20, 25, 30 minutes aside. You got to get up. And that's basically telling me to get off my butt, get up, walk to the other end of my basement, change the side or change another album. But it's also stopped me from sitting in a chair for 3 straight hours staring at a screen. And I love that about it. I really do. And it's really helped. It really helps keep sanity. Anybody can stream. Anybody can push a button and just listen to whatever the Spotify gods tell you to listen to. But for me, I just like grabbing it, popping it on, cleaning ritual, and go,
Now, James mentioned his very first album. Do you remember yours?
Geez, my very first album this time around was Flash. Queen, the soundtrack to Flash.
Flash
was
Gordon?
the album I bought for my son. So
Okay.
all of this happened 3.5 years. Well, it would be 4 years this November. So we just hit our 4-year mark. We started because we bought my son a turntable for his birthday, October 17th. And I remember the day because it's his birthday, obviously. And bought the turntable for him, and we had to take him to a store. So we went to a store in the city, and he had 4 or 5 records in his hand, and they were insanely priced. And I looked at him and I went, what? It's records. I don't understand. Like, the old man, I don't, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then then I went on my phone and I looked at record collections and quickly on Kijiji, and I found a guy. I don't know what it is. It was just the karma and just the whole, this is something we should be doing. And we went there. I showed him the ad. There was 350 albums for like $500. And I'm like, I showed him that. You have 5 albums in your hand and it's well over $100. How about we go buy this collection? You grab everything you want out of it. I'll keep it. I'll keep what I want. You keep what you want. And then we'll sell off the rest and we'll go from there. And we did that. And that was the start of it. And the first album that I actually ran out and got was Flash Gordon for him when I bought him that turntable. So that was the first album.
Nice.
Was it because you just watched Ted? Is that why?
No, yeah. So Flash Gordon, the movie, is a funny. That's a little funny side story of me and my boys. I have 3 sons, and it is the most ridiculous, most over the top, most ridiculous movie ever, and it's just our thing, right? We play the pinball, and so when I saw the soundtrack, I said, "Oh, I got to give him this album with the turntable," and he'll laugh at that. And he likes Queen, so it was just a perfect little storm. That was our first album to get back into it. Yeah.
We'll say that probably wasn't Queen's best album. Let's go with that.
No, but I do. That song is in my head right now.
Flash,
Yeah.
Queen of the
But
universe.
yeah, no, it's only because of Ted that I like, because I love that song. It's obviously Queen has so many other better choices, but
Obviously,
simply
yeah.
an
A few.
amazing track, because you get Mercury's voice on there, and it's just Freddie Mercury, man. It just he gets you.
Now, the next question I have is, I don't know what your system is like. I'm sure it's a pretty cool system you got going on there. Is it a newer system, or is it something that you grew up with that you kept?
Macintosh, maybe.
No, God. So I'm a humble record collector. This is my first self-funding hobby I've ever had in my life, and my wife loves it. Like, she just loves it because it's the first time I'm not reaching into our bank account for something that I want in my life. So, whatever we don't keep, we sell. We take that money, we run to the record stores, and we buy other ones. So I've slowly upgraded my equipment over the years. It's funny. I had a really, really, really nice Marantz 90s with the black face and 100 watts per side, but it wasn't pretty.
No.
It's just all black and, just black knobs and little white things there. So it wasn't pretty. It didn't even light up really pretty. So, but it kicked butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, dumb me, sold that and got a 2240 Marantz that is absolutely purty, but it's only 40 watts per side, but it's still nice. If you see my account, you'll see that I have a bit of a space crunch in my basement. So I can only have bookshelf speakers because it's wall-to-wall pinballs and vinyl and movies and collectibles. So,
It's almost like the House of Targ in his basement.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
so
Yeah, just the pictures I've seen of that, it's like, holy crap.
my
Well, when you go there, do you just
No,
go
we
to
just
the-
just in the garage.
No,
Yeah.
but when you do come, I promise the next time I'll take you guys down for a tour. We'll have a beer. We'll play some pinball.
Sounds good.
And I basically have House of Targ in my basement. I have video game systems. I have the sit down cocktail table, the old Galaga and the Ms. Pac-Man and all
there
that
you go.
stuff. And I also have like a little home theater section with a real popcorn machine. Yeah, it's,
That's cool.
It's a labor of love. And like I said earlier, my wife is very happy that vinyl is my main thing right now.
Well, it could be so much worse.
Yeah.
It's so true, so true. May I tell a quick story about like a table like that, like with a Miss Pac-Man and stuff? So, do you remember the place called the Banana Boat? It used to be on Carling Avenue.
Yeah,
I remember.
I think so.
Yeah, so it was basically this little bar, and then there was like offices up top. The building's still there, actually. It's like an M&M meat shop, and there's a few other things, but there's no bar there anymore. But my brother Ross, he was, my mom was working up top, worked in that building, and then they'd meet downstairs at the Banana Boat for a drink on a Friday afternoon or whatever. And the table was missing. So, they're heavy too, right? Like as you'll attest, they're pretty heavy, right?
Yeah.
So my brother and his buddy apparently stole the machine and brought it out the back door. And then my mom was getting calls from the bar owner, just like, "Okay, tell your son we saw him. It's 450 pounds. We know that it's heavy, and he took it. So just tell him to bring it back, and we're good." But just a random 80s bar story that like it's like pretty funny. But that's amazing. I'd love to play Galaga in there. Or
Yeah, that would
like
bring back some sweet memories for sure.
For sure. That's like the first machine I would ever use when I was a young man.
I wasn't very good at it, but they were fun. No, the reason I asked about the sound system is because I'm pretty loyal to my sound system, like what I have and what what you kind of get to like and stuff. Like my turntable is 40 years old. I got it when I was in my 20s. My wife at the time wasn't very impressed because I paid $1,000 for it back 40 years ago.
Wow.
It's a system deck turntable. It's from they're built in the UK, and apparently they're a high end. Well, $1,000 back in the 80s.
40 years old, still rolling.
It's full. I've only had to change the needle once.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my deck, and then I've kind of changed out, like you said, I've changed out the amp, and I've changed out. But I have, I don't know if you, I know you have CDs and stuff as well, but I have a 200 disc CD player.
Okay.
And I still have my tape deck. So I've got all of the stuff that I had. This is my second system. My first system I bought when I was 14. So this is my second one. So that's the reason I asked about
Bit
that.
of a music buff, eh, bud?
Maybe just a little. Not as much as our friend here.
Getting back to that, like, it's just, how many albums do you have?
According to Discogs.
Discogs, nice.
1,940 entries, which includes some CDs. I don't do all my CDs because, it's easy to amass CDs. I only do the hard rock and glam CDs. The ones that I don't want to be buying again if I'm out in the wild. Seeing them, and for memory, I put them in there, and I put my cassettes also hair rock and glam.
Okay,
so those are the only ones I actually enter in. But I do have other stuff. I'm not this hair rock and glam guy only. I do have other things in my collection, but I would say 75% of my collection is hard rock, metal, and hair. I love hair.
Discogs is amazing. If you don't know what that is, it's an app that you can go on. You can log in all of your stuff. It'll tell you approximately how much it's worth from low end to high end. You can search for stuff in there. You can have them send you texts. Hey, by the way, this person over here is selling this. My Vinyl Addiction 45 has got this on sale, or whatever. And it's a great place to go to find albums if you're really stuck for them. And mine is I think mine's at 1,100.
Oh wow, that's.
But
cool.
I haven't even begun to put in my CDs.
1,989 and mid value 36K, high value 72.
Yeah, my mid K, I think mine's like 26 or 27.
72K.
Yeah.
And my son has always said it. Like, my son's collection is very eccentric. He's prog, he's krautrock, he's jazz fusion. He's all over the map, and he says my collection might be worth similar to yours, Dad, but yours would sell in a minute, and mine would take a lifetime.
Well, you'd need somebody as eccentric or as like him to be like to take that collection off your hands, right? Yeah. Now, here's a question. We were talking about this on the way in. What album do you have that's probably that means the most to you? And I'm not talking like financially. I just mean like this is the ultimate album that you have in your collection. Or is there one?
I mean, I there's so many that, so many great albums. Like, obviously my favorite band is Rat. If you just scroll through my Instagram, you would see Rat posts all the time. Then my favorite Rat album would obviously be right up there near the top. Emotionally, as a child, Purple Rain really hit home for me based on my upbringing and my life. And, it means a lot to me. And then I love Invasion of Your Privacy, which is Rat's album. It's I'm a little different as a music fan, because I know lots of people love to be inspired by music and want this and want that. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
That's the difference between me and a lot of other people when it comes to music and collecting. I just want to have fun when I listen. And people, they rip hair bands and they're this and that. You know what? Tommy Lee is probably one of the greatest drummers of all time. The way he drums and all the antics and all the fun that he puts into drumming. But nobody will ever mention him as one of the top guys.
And you're right. You're very right.
Because he's not this, and then we lose some legends over the years. Oh, he was the greatest drummer ever. And then you listen and I try to remember back as to, what exactly did he do in the drumming world that made him have this status? Is it because he died or, and I don't want to say names and this and that, but it's like, it just, like Neil Peart. Yeah, that guy could drum. Right? And Tommy Lee doing it on a roller coaster and upside down and really entertaining the fans.
Yeah.
That's the music I love. That's the music I grew up with. That's the music that these guys just know how to have fun.
Yeah. So what I said to Gus once, we were talking about bands and stuff. And one of my favorite drummers, I have a few, but Peart's up there. Of course, my Jerry Mercer is up there for me. But Myron Grombacher, who plays for Pat Benatar.
Okay.
But just to watch him in the videos, and he's just back there, and he's just having fun, like you said. You're watching him, and I'd rather watch him than her sing. I like to hear her sing, but I'd rather be watching him on because he's just like, and he's got the facial expressions and stuff, and he's having a good time. And he's not a bad drummer, but again,
it's part of the show too, right? Like,
yes.
Even when we went and saw Rammstein, when we saw the keyboardist, he was on a treadmill the whole time. It was unbelievable. Like, he was like walking, and that band is like the show is ridiculous. I'm sure your son is into that if he likes some of the Kraut music and stuff. And then you mentioned Purple Rain, like that was like a really important album for me too.
Yeah.
I'm younger than you guys, but certainly the Purple Rain. I just love Prince.
No, we're all in agreement here. We're all in agreement,
right? It was the messages on it. It's
just him too,
just connecting to the hard times. And I love that album. Like I think I have it top 10 and for sure in my, like might even be top 5 overall albums. But nothing connected with me from the rest of his library. I have a lot of it, but nothing like that album, where every single track, the only track that you could say is kind of silly from that album is Computer Blue. Yeah, and even that's not a bad song.
Not a bad song
overall, but every other song just finds a way. Like, my favorite song from him from that album is Darling Nikki.
I knew you were going to, I just knew he was going to say that.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, what a crazy song, you know? But it was just so great.
Yeah.
We
don't disagree.
He was out there, like, creatively, super talented, period, but like creatively just wouldn't care. He was fearless, right?
Yep. Just said what he said, and he put it on the amazing talent.
And that album showed it.
Yep, absolutely did. Yeah. So did some of his other stuff as well. But that's
like
the
Erotic
seminal
City.
album.
Erotic City album is a pretty good album too.
Yeah.
But,
well, I was just listening to Around the World in a Day yesterday.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So because I'm going to do on my show, my 80s show, I'm going to do a Prince show.
Sweet.
So it's going to be Prince doing his songs, but it's also going to be 80s artists doing covers.
Yep.
So that's going to be a fun show. I'll do that in a couple of weeks.
The most amazing part about Prince is how he empowered so many other artists.
Yep.
And didn't care.
Nope.
And didn't look for a handout. He had his little cookie cutter bands that, so I have a cube in my basement. So I call them cubes, the Calyx cubes. So I have one cube just to Prince and all his little offshooters. I have Vanity and I have
Apollonia.
And I have The Time and I have anybody that came from that stuff. all in that one cue.
New Power Generation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Morris Day in the time, like that was like
That was another.
They
Yeah,
were nobody until he was. He
Well,
let him
but
in
he-
the Purple Rain movie.
yeah, but that was his band. That was his creation too, though.
He created them all. So
Nobody, not a lot of people know that, but that
I
was
didn't
his.
know
He
that.
had his handprints all over that band.
Kind of makes sense. I mean, you think of how it sounds.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and some of the songs he wrote for other people, and like the people he was interested in. Like I read a story once about him being in love with Joni Mitchell because of her songwriting ability. He was enamored with her. You never think, Prince and Joni Mitchell. You never make that connection. But the man was, the man knows talent, right? And he knows songwriting.
And he would have been young when she was singing.
Very
so
young.
Maybe it was impressionable at the
very,
time.
very young, or just
She's wonderful voice.
way ahead
Oh,
of
God.
way ahead of his time, recognizing talent, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
she was
had
an
a good
amazing
ear.
songwriter, still is. But yeah, so we have to talk about Rat because you guys can't see him unless we do a video. But he's all decked out in his Rat paraphernalia, and of course, most people who think about Rat think about the one song, right?
there's a lot more than
Yeah, I
that
know,
song.
and you're going to tell us a little bit more because I need one. You already told me what I'm going to put on my show.
Yeah, to me, their best song was "Lay It Down."
Lay it
By
down.
far. They had a ballad on Detonator, which is about their sixth album. That I think it was just a matter of timing. Detonator came out in the '90s, and Hair was starting to get a little bit pushed to the side. Because there was a lot of super bands coming up. It was really weird. It's so funny that from '89 to '91, '92, the bands that were formed in the hair genre might have been the most talented, but got thrown by the wayside. Yeah. So they kind of got lost in that uprising of all these new guys that came up. But Giving Yourself Away, give that tune a listen. It's pure Stephen Pearcy gold. I love his whine. I love everything about his voice. Like he's just ultra talented from that standpoint. I was saying to you earlier, like my overall outside looking in impression of him was I didn't really care for him. I thought, he's kind of high and mighty and just not that great. But I post a lot of Rat stuff on my stuff, and then all of a sudden I look in my phone and he's following me now. And he's giving me thumbs up, and he's giving me little Rat logos, and he's giving me a hell yes. And I'm like, okay, man, this guy is
That's
pretty
cool.
solid dude. And I was like, wow, and so, and that solidified for me because, when you get into collecting everybody, what's your favorite band? That's the first question that comes out of people's head. And I can see that yours is Zipper Wine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny that it probably should have been Motley Crue for me because Motley Crue, there's some stories as to why Motley Crue should have been. But I've always been the guy that is a little bit to the left. And Rat is just a little bit to the left of Motley Crue. So I've got Rat at 1A and Motley Crue at 1B. And I'm good with that decisions. And I'm more likely going to be known as the guy who likes Rat on Instagram than the guy who likes Motley Crue because there's billions of those guys.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's just the way I am. From the hockey teams I cheer for, the football, everything I do, I've always been just little to the left. So
I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I like the Crew too. I mean, I've seen them a couple times, and
Same here.
Yeah. They always put on a good show. But it's funny. Like people like what they like. I don't know much about Rat, like I was saying to you, but I'm gonna listen to that track for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had that many albums. I thought I only knew of like 3 of them.
No, they have I think 7 studio albums.
Yeah, see, there's something I didn't know. But like my younger brother, is a huge Cheap Trick fan.
Nice.
Like that's one of his favorite bands. Cheap Trick and Genesis are his 2 favorites. And it's funny because I don't know where that comes from because he didn't get it from me. You know what I mean? Because like when you're growing up, like Gus learned from his first, introduction to music was his mom and his older siblings and stuff, and that's where you kind of get that from. And I wasn't playing that kind of stuff, so I'm kind of wondering where my brother got it from. It might have been from his friends, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Like when somebody likes, like you said, Motley Crue's great, but I love Rat, or so and so is great, but I love this person instead, right?
Yeah,
It makes
it's
it
a
even
beautiful
more
thing
cool.
about music.
Yeah,
man.
it's all subjective, right?
Everybody's subjective.
Yeah.
And it's so great. Like you said, my first albums that random people that I heard was like John Hyatt or like, Tom Petty, and the Full Moon Fever album was one of my very impressionable. It's still in my head all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's amazing how we sort of grow up and you hear some music from your parents, and then you hear something from your older siblings, but then you make your own decisions. like anything, right?
Well, they say that starts when you're like 13 to 14 years old, is when you start to make your own decisions on what you like to listen to. And it usually comes from your friends, right? The people that are around you, or girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a guy, you're like, oh, yeah, I really like that band because the girls like it, and you want to like the girls to like you. And that's what happened. Well, that's how I got into April Wine, because when I lived in Alberta, all the girls were into the Bay City Rollers. Mm. Of course, I pretended to like them because all the girls liked them.
Of course.
But after a while, I was like, I got to find something else. Yeah. So it was like Alice Cooper and April Wine that I got introduced to. And Alice Cooper was a little off for me. I'm more of a mainstream kind of guy, or I used to be. And April Wine was just like, it was just right there, and it was like so good. And I was like, yeah, this is my favorite band now. And it has been, and you know, it's 40 plus years later.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because like, I don't know many people that would say April Wine's their number one guy, but I'll remember you forever because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're both like outliers, sort of. Yeah.
And that to me is that's kind of like the message I'm trying to get across on my hashtag that I sponsor, that I post every week on Instagram. That's called Trying It Tuesdays. And unfortunately, Instagram lately has just been a sea of popular albums. And don't get me wrong, I love Led Zeppelin 1, and I love Nirvana's Nevermind, and I love all these main albums but they're posted daily, and daily and over and over and over again. So one day I just got this brainstorm to do a hashtag about the other albums, the albums in your collection that you really love that nobody's ever heard of. And it was just a little pipe dream of mine. And I just started, every Tuesday I'm going to do it. And I did it because I had piles of this stuff in my basement. And I have a deal with myself that if I purchase an album, I must listen to it and it must be posted before it gets put away.
Okay, good.
So the Trying It Tuesday stuff started piling up. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this stuff? And then that's when I created the Trying It Tuesday. Because I'm at the point in my collection now, when you have 1,900 albums in your collection and you're only sticking to certain lanes, you got to start digging. You got to start going down rabbit holes, and you got to start, looking at different things. And
hey, Doug, want some hot sauce for your tacos?
You brought your own hot sauce?
Damn right. Have you tried Gringo's Sizzling Nirvana? It'll change your life.
Nice. Are there other types of sauces?
Absolutely. There's different hot sauces for different palates, incredible barbecue sauces, red pepper jam, and salsa. All of them use fresh ingredients, and it can be delivered to your door.
Hey, how do we get some?
Go to www.gringosblazingsauces.com and order some.
Gringo's Blazing Sauces.
Bring the fire to your food.
And so I pick things by covers, and then I look up genres, and then I give a little listen, and then I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. I'm good. I'm good to go. So that was the whole concept behind Trying It Tuesdays. And then Soundtrack Sunday, Scott, this guy's awesome. He does only soundtracks on Sunday. He's a host of that hashtag. I was about to give up on it because there was nothing going on with it. And he messages me, he says, I think your idea is brilliant. It's amazing. And this was coming from a guy who's had a hashtag for 10 years. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, just keep up. And then he started posting some of them. And then some of the other more influential people started, doing a post saying, you know what, this is a good idea. Like, let's do this.
Yeah. I'm
up to now 7,000 worldwide posts. And these aren't just posts where they stick an album and they put Trying It Tuesdays on it. This is actual album research. So if you follow the hashtag and you click on it and you look at it, people are describing the people that are in the band, why they purchased the album, what drew them to it, and how it kicked their butt. Like it is, and it gives me chills sometimes reading these posts of people so passionate about a band I've never heard of.
Yep.
And that's the whole concept.
And that's one of the good things about Spotify and all the other like music streaming services we've got out there, right? Is you can do that. And Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that. Like you can get people to talk about this. But you're right. When they just kind of give it a thumbs up, it's like, who cares? Tell me something.
Yep.
Tell me something. Why you loved it. Like that's always been a thing for me is why do you like Nas? Why do you like Rat? I want to know because it intrigues me. right? I want to know why people listen to what they listen to. And it's not just because, yeah, you got a great beat, man. It's like, it's when you go back and you say, well, because of this or because of this. That I like. I like it a lot.
I love the discussion. I love the, like you just said, basically, essentially just following it, like piling onto that. It's the discussion about music and the passion that people have, and there's never anything that you're never going to like be mad at someone for their choice in music that they enjoy. I don't think so anyway.
Nope.
And like, like someone says, I love this band because, you said Nas. I love Nas because lyrically he's incredible. And he comes from a background where he needed to be tough. And some of the lyrics that he says make you feel like you're part of that community, but you're not because he's from the Marcy Projects. But we won't get into that. But the thing is you can't deny that if I have the information in my head and why I like it, and you follow it up with an actual explanation of the band and who's in it and why they're so great and da 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 da.
Yep.
It's amazing to that's an amazing hashtag, and that you're getting that kind of action on it, because honestly, dude, that's so amazing, because you can go on there, you'll look at that hashtag, and you'll, like you just said, you'll see so many interesting takes on different bands.
Yeah.
So if people put the work in on these bands and they do a post and they tag me, I repost their story.
Yeah.
And I am sometimes on Tuesdays, I'm doing upwards to 60 to 100 just stories every Tuesday. And because you put that work in, if you just throw my hashtag at the bottom, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to jump on the.
You just got to respect. Right? You got to respect the work they put in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And like, if you do, like I said, like James said or just said, I'm going to respect you if you can back up why you like this band, then you've got my respect. I'm not going to make fun of somebody who listens to the Bee Gees. I don't care. Why do you listen to them? Great. That is awesome. Never ever have I ever made fun of somebody because they listen to a certain band or a certain person, if they have a reason for it. If you're just jumping on the bandwagon, well, then you need to dig a little bit deeper.
I get more band reposts from Trying a Tuesday's posts than ever. And then I made that person's day because I repost the band's repost and then put their name back on that. And then they see, oh, what happened? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the band you just wrote a big thing on just reposted the story I made for you. And I'm giving the credit all back to the first person. Yeah, it was my idea. Yeah, I'm the one doing the energy behind it, but I'm just doing the stories. You're doing the work.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I have bands that follow me. I think I'm upwards to like 30, 40 bands that follow me now. Like it's pretty impressive. Like I'm really excited about that portion of it, right?
It's a great way for them to get their name out there without doing anything.
Exactly.
Hey, we got this My Vinyl guy, and he's talking about us. Great.
Yeah, you're helping each other, right? Like you kind of your passion comes through, and I appreciate that. It's so amazing that you love music. That's why we decided to do a podcast.
This is how it all started.
It's like, yeah, you know what? We're not musicians, but let's like have a chat about music, and having people like yourself, like with that hashtag. Like it's funny how you take advantage of an actual social media platform where you're actually building a community, and a really positive one, as opposed to all the crap you see on there now, right? Like you could go on, if you ever go on Twitter, like it's a mess. Like I can't even deal with it. It's like, okay, that's not my first thing I do there in the morning anymore. I used to read Twitter just to get some news, but now it's just a mess. And positivity is so great.
I think I have a Twitter account, but I don't even.
I removed mine from my phone.
I think I'm gonna.
Yeah, I have no.
It's just
negativity.
I don't need I don't need that. I don't need somebody.
It's so troubling.
Somebody who thinks they have a better opinion of my music than me, saying, "Oh, you're an idiot because you listen to that band."
Yeah. See,
why? Why can't we just sit?
Yeah.
Why can't we just sit here and say, you know what, man? I'm going to go listen to that Rat album because you're really excited about that. I need to listen to this.
Yep.
And he will, by the way.
I will. I'm going to when I get home tonight.
Dog's
Invasion of Your Privacy is my favorite from cover to cover. There's not a bad song in my opinion, but you also have to like that style of music, right? Robin King Crosby was a unbelievably underrated guitarist. Warren DeMartini is unbelievable, and he's still going strong. He's amazing. And then Stephen Pearcy has that unique whine to his voice that is unmistakable back then. Now it's not as whiny, but I mean, we all age and we're all, and Bobby Blotzer, Stephen and Bobby is the reason why, they haven't gotten back together, and you hope that they do one day, and it is what it is. It's egos and icons, right? So
that's right. Yeah. unfortunately.
Well, I mean, not like that hasn't happened to many a band
Exactly.
over the years.
A lot of them,
Yeah. Oh, maybe a couple.
especially those hair metal bands back in the day. Yeah.
They seem to have a little bit more attitude than.
I think it was all sex related, to be honest.
Sex,
No
With that
way.
girl's girl
And the
that-
cocaine.
yeah,
The cocaine.
drugs.
No way.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
No way. That never happened in the 80s.
There, if you get a chance, Ain't Nothing But a Good Time.
Oh, yeah.
Is a book.
Oh, a
of
book.
The gluttony of
Nice.
of all the hair bands. And
Cool.
I've got that at home. It's a good read. And Nikki Sixx's Heroin Diaries is unbelievable.
Well, apparently Dave Grohl has a book out now, too. Or maybe it's been out for a little while, but that's one I would like to definitely.
Slash's book is really good.
I
too.
have it.
I have
I
Slash.
haven't
I
read
have
it,
Slash's
but
book.
I have that. There's like the pictures are falling out of it because I've read it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you'll love it. It's like it's a different perspective, right? Like because he wasn't, he was so quiet. Like you think about Slash and in that band, everybody was such a diva, and then Slash was just like, I just want to play guitar, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about how because he went to school with Lenny Kravitz. They went to the same high school, and they would both be in the halls all the time because neither of them. They weren't studious, to say the least. And so Lenny would see him in the hallways, and they did that song, of course, together. They did My Mama Said. I think he's on that song, Mama Said. But anyways, it's Slash talks about like that, but also the fact that if you see Slash, people talk about it all the time, and you see Slash anywhere, he's always got a guitar in his hand. Always. Like they say that he's always got a guitar
Within
arm's reach.
Yeah.
Anywhere he goes, it's like that's why he's so
It's
good.
all about the music, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and that's why he is who he is. Like there's very few that are much better than he is on the guitar, right?
Nope. Not
He's
these
in the
days,
top
eh?
10 for me, anyway.
Absolutely is, yeah. But I mean, again, that's all perspective, right?
Yeah, but you can't
You
deny
can't deny
talent.
No, I'm not going to deny he's an amazing talent.
That's why I find a lot now, like top 10 lists are very generic, genre specific nowadays to not explode. People getting angry from one side to the other. Top 10 hair metal bands from LA. Let's get specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get more specific,
People are going to be freaking out that Jimi Hendrix isn't on the
Yeah,
list.
top 10 metal bands from LA that wore leather.
Yeah.
Go.
No.
The Doors.
And
But
the
you know what I
scary
mean?
thing
It's-
scary thing is I probably have the 10 albums in my collection that I
You
can show
probably
that I
do.
think I-
Yeah. I mean,
But that's-
you're my vinyl
It's
collection,
bad,
bro.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's like, it doesn't matter what you say. We've talked about this on our show. We've talked about the top 10 this and the top 10, and it's all subjective. Because we could do the top 10 drummers and come up with top 10 rock
did it.
drummers. We did.
Yeah.
But you're not including jazz drummers or like the heavy metal drummers or even like the even more. You know what I mean? So it's not, yes, Bonham, Peart, those two names come up all the time, but it's not even close to who's out there. And, like you say, like even
Tommy
our
Lee.
friend Tommy Lee is not ever mentioned in the top 10
which is
in the list that I've ever seen.
when the show he puts on top of the talent that's there, like, come on.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Like you can say, okay, so we're going to go with the top 10 drummers who are showmanship or charismatude.
Yeah.
That's a
that's
word
one
we
of
came
our-
up with.
You know
Anyway.
what? That's going to be our hashtag.
Yes, it is. So anyway, like you could do Tommy Lee, you could do Myron in my respects. You could do like even Ringo, because Ringo's fun to watch, right? And nobody ever says that Ringo's in a top 10 when he was one of the best bands ever.
The best band ever.
I'm going to go with one of the best bands ever.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
Okay, but
and Jason's not saying a word.
He can.
No, I don't want to say a word because I've actually voiced my opinion on Instagram DM with some friends and they unfriended me.
No.
And it's like, what? It's
See, that's
like,
what.
And this is
I like
where
to
we
just
go
stir the
wrong.
pot. I was stirring the pot.
Yeah.
I don't think
We-
they're the best band ever. To me, it's Led Zeppelin, but that's a different discussion.
But it's always, and again, it's subjective, right? Like it's always been
No, they're the
subjective.
best.
And is my opinion more important than yours or
Are they
yours?
the best
No, it's not.
because of the Butterfield Blues Band.
That's right.
Yeah. You see, this is that. I love telling that story in the garage because everybody will come in and say, "Oh, Greta Van Fleet. Oh, they sound too much like Led Zeppelin." And I said, "Have you listened to Butterfield Blues Band?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Shut up about Greta Van
Yeah,
Fleet."
seriously.
Because everybody has an influence.
Exactly.
Everybody has an influence. Somebody got something from somebody. Of all, like one of my favorite bands, Motley Crue. of all the bands that were their influence, it was Slade.
Slade. Love Slade.
Slade was their major influence.
Yep.
Like, are you kidding me?
And does anybody even know who
can't
Slade
believe
is?
that.
I, you know what? I don't know enough to say that I do know.
They
who they are.
actually Quiet Riot recorded
Riot,
did one of those
career.
"Come Hear the Noise."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Slade tune.
Mama
Oh,
We're All
really?
Crazy is
Yeah,
also Slade
yeah,
as
and
well.
"My Oh My," which is one of the
Yeah.
best '80s slow songs ever.
Yeah.
"My Oh My" is an amazing song by Slade. Yeah,
And without Quiet Riot borrowing that music
Yeah.
from them, they. So I always say the story: Quiet Riot opened the door, and Motley Crue kicked it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The LA scene.
Yeah.
And everybody forgets about the door being opened.
Yeah.
And the door got opened because of Slade.
Mhm.
Because Quiet Riot's regular tunes would not have opened those doors. So
Yeah.
it's
I love the discussion though. It's
yeah.
such a-
But that's the thing, though, right? It's like everybody's like, "Well, they sound like these guys and these guys." Well, you know what? Jimmy Page sounds like somebody else too. Where did you think he got his influences from? Like,
Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson, all this kind of blues stuff, right? That's where he picked up, and then he made his own signature sound. But he had to start somewhere.
Yep.
He didn't immediately become this amazing guitar player. He had to learn, and who did he learn from?
Yeah, you listen to who you want to play,
Yeah.
and you go from there, and then you create your own style. It's like we talked about cover tunes in an episode, and it was like you take a song, you stay relevant to the actual song, but also put your own spin on it, right?
Yep.
I got a question. What's the best hair metal cover song?
and it's so funny. It comes back to this of what you just said. I absolutely love "Live and Let Die" by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And "Helter Skelter"
Yeah.
by Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not a huge Beatles guy. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I don't get the mass hysteria for them. I just feel that their timing was perfect.
Yep.
And yes, they were monumental to rock and roll, but there was a guy named Elvis too, who was before them, who doesn't get the notoriety in this world like the Beatles do. So I'm more of like, okay, so why not Elvis too, and so
Elvis is groundbreaking.
he's groundbreaking, yes, but in the vinyl world, you can pick up an Elvis album for $5, and
The Beatles
and the
are selling
Beatles
for
start at
25,
and up.
30. Yeah.
How many Elvis albums you got for sale?
At that price. I don't got many
I'm coming to
left.
get them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I do,
but
yeah,
that
yeah.
is like the going rate for Elvis compared to Beatles, and it's mind-boggling to me because I think what Elvis did was more groundbreaking than the Beatles did. And,
And that's an opinion, right?
That's
And
just
that's
my
yours,
opinion.
and that's fair.
Did you see the film?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so the question back at you guys: what's your favorite cover? You threw it at
hair metal. Like,
Yeah.
Well, live it. I was gonna say "Knocking on Heaven's Door" by Guns N' Roses.
That's another one.
Is one of my knock knock knock. You know how he does his.
Yep.
It's the
Yep.
Axl voice that gets me every time.
Yep.
Is up there, and then I think that one really just comes to mind. That one.
You know what I like? Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Yeah.
Motley Crue.
Yeah.
that's
The
a
old
good
Brownsville
one,
Station
too.
tune?
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
great tune. And you mentioned Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite 80s singers, Pat Benatar, does a great version of that song
does
as well.
she? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
amazing.
Is
Yeah.
it on one of her albums?
Yep.
'Cause I'd be
I
all over
believe
that
it's on-
particular album.
I believe it's on Crimes of Passion,
Okay. Yeah.
but don't quote me on that. But yeah, she does an amazing version of that. But she did a lot of covers that I didn't know were covers.
Yeah.
Like she covered Mellencamp. She covered this group called Smokey, the one I was telling you about that I'm looking for their albums.
Yep.
And it's just like I thought they were hers, and the more I delved into it, of course, I found out that it wasn't. But it was amazing.
Yeah.
Listen to all these. It's like wow, and that version's different than this version, and I love it.
And I have to, and I said it, we touched on it earlier. I have to pay homage to Quiet Riot's
Yep.
2 songs by Slade.
Yep.
Because without those two, I'm not getting the whole 12-year run of the music that I absolutely covet in my collection.
Yep.
So, that's those 2 tunes. Mama We're All Crazy, Come On Feel the Noise, like great tunes. And Quiet Riot, like you said, really took it up a notch and really did it their own way. And I do like Slade's versions, but Quiet Riot's are better.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I mean, even some of the Led Zeppelin songs that they did cover from long ago, long before they came around.
Yep.
There was some of their bigger songs. They didn't write them.
No.
They made them their own.
Yep.
But again, I just like Led Zeppelin, so it's just
And it's a fair discussion. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their opinion, and everybody's.
I have my obscure stuff too. Like,
Yeah. Now that's the question. In your collection,
Mhm.
what's an album that we wouldn't think to see in your collection?
Oh, you mean like obscure, like
Or obscure, or just something like, and right in the middle of all your hair metal, you got Dolly Parton.
Yeah, like compare.
You know what I mean?
All right, yeah, that's a good
comparatively
one.
to
Okay,
like what
so
you have. Yeah.
I have over 50 Frank Sinatra albums in my collection.
See, that would be interesting to see.
Man, I love Frank Sinatra.
And I have also another cube, Hot Ladies of the 80s.
Nice.
So it's just the pretty girls from the 80s. Love them all. Love the pop. So I've been a DJ for 37 years, and so hip hop and pop and electro and dance music has been part of my DNA. But I didn't want to collect that way. I grew up in two different neighborhoods growing up. I grew up in Alta Vista for with my Lebanese family, and I was dropped off in the Maryville and Caldwell area every weekend because that's where my grandmother's lived for her whole life. So that area is where I got my hair and hard rock and metal, and I had to have a little bit of swagger on the weekends, or I was going to get
Your ass kicked.
That's a tough neighborhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
We both
I fit
know.
right in. I fit right in
We
because
went
I'm just that type of person.
Yeah, we went to Maryville High School, so we know.
Okay, so
yeah,
you know the
we
area,
both did.
and Laurentian was
Yep.
the main feed there, which is a Walmart now. And,
Yep.
But I grew up in cushy Alta Vista during the
Mhm.
week, and went to schools like Canterbury and Hillcrest. So
Listening to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, and I had the best of both worlds. I loved my time at Canterbury because it was just so diverse. The music, not gonna lie, the ratio of 7-to-1 girls to guys was a lot of fun back in those days.
It was okay. It was all right.
But like the arts program and just seeing the people at the school, like it just was such a good influence in my life as well. And then my dad had one of the coolest rock bars in the city in the 70s and early 80s, Faces and Rick's Place. And he had bands like Downchild Blues Band.
Downchild's Blues, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
He had David Wilcox play there. Wayne Ronstadt was a regular. He was there all the time. I'm trying to think. B.B. King played there one time. Like, this is all before, like, I was really young at the time. But, and what's the other one? Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh, really?
Played
Really?
there. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was a really, really cool
They're a
bar.
pretty good band, too. I
And
like
it's so
those.
funny that we're going to circle back here, but after my godfather found out that my son and I were collecting records, my father passed away in 2014, but my godfather had all the records from the bar. And guess where they ended up?
With
All
you.
back in the garage.
Nice.
With us.
Yeah.
We kept what
Where
we
they
wanted.
belong.
We kept what we wanted, and the rest went out and circulated in the world. And if you've got a record in this city that has on the top left-hand corner, it says Rick's, R-I-C-K with an S, came from that rock bar.
Nice.
So, and there's a lot of those out in circulation in this city.
Rick's Place.
Yeah.
Rick's Place.
We were talking before. I'm pretty sure my sister worked there. I'm gonna ask her after. We'll
Yeah,
see.
it was a downstairs bar, and it was really, really cool little spot for rock music. A lot like House of Targ is now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same building.
Oh, yeah?
So my family my uncles all owned that whole strip.
Was that right?
And Rick's Place was the next downstairs bar
Okay.
over.
Right.
And that bar down where House of Targ was also owned by our family.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
The Ottawa history there.
yeah, my uncles were very instrumental in the restaurant and the music industry in this city.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, the Lebanese families seem to own a lot of those strip malls, or not malls, but like those strips of buildings that are kind of on Elgin Street as well as Bank Street.
Yep.
Question: you did mention you liked hip hop, and I'm a big hip hop guy. So, if you were to go back and when you were a kid in the 80s, and you put hip hop on, who was something you'd put on?
So I'm 50 and a little bit older than you, but I was right in the middle of the LL Cool J, Cool Mo D clash, right? And to me, LL Cool J Bad is my favorite hip hop album that I have in my collection. Of course, I love Notorious and Snoop, and they came much later for me. But my era is that Cool Mo D versus LL Cool J, the battles that they had back and forth. And I now finally own both of those two albums where they're actually, you can hear them going at each other on the album, basically. One was Bad, and the other one was How You Like Me Now, I think, is the Cool Moody one.
Yeah.
And
Cool Moody's good too.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
But everybody forgets LL Cool J is a
Still
tremendous artist.
Yeah.
And as he got older, he got a little cheesier and cheesier.
Well,
that was the times. That was what he was going through in his life.
He got lost in the shuffle.
Mr. Smith is an amazing album. That was the one with Doing It and Hey Lover. Those are two big out songs. But yeah, it's funny because I love LL Cool J, and even like Eminem, when they ask him like who's your favorite artist, like who are the best of all time, he brings out LL Cool J's in that mix.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about Redman and know Pac and all them, but it's like it's funny that people in the actual like in that genre of music love LL Cool J.
Yeah.
You got to also remember that like I was a DJ in the Hull Strips back in the day when Hull was
Shalimar's.
Amazing. Yeah, I was actually at Shalimar. Well, I told you that. So I also had to play radio.
First place I ever got drunk.
Yeah.
By the way.
I also had to play radio friendly hip hop as opposed to
Yeah.
hardcore and stuff. So I never really touched into the deep stuff of it. But I love the beats. Back in those days, you had to know what beats per minute was through your ear and not by pushing one button.
Yeah.
And it was a lot harder to do. And I got really good, really young, really fast. And they actually pulled me from the kids' bar on the Ontario side. It was
Astrolite.
Shalimar's pulled me out of there to go work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, I think, 15 or 16 at the time.
Wow.
Like, I'm not even old enough to go in your place. And he's like, don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, because I was 15 when I went in there. So,
so we all were.
Yeah.
But wasn't it like as soon as you turned of age, you didn't go to bars anymore?
Well, you didn't go to Hull. Once you're old enough to go to Hull, you didn't go to Hull.
We never went to Hull after that. Yeah. Once I was 18 and I was getting into like Grace O'Malley's and stuff.
I was working down in the market at Zach's. We just go around the corner to the Yucatan and party there and then go over to Hull afterwards.
Tell us about the event.
Okay, so we are the first Ottawa record show in the city since way before COVID, because I don't even think we had one just before COVID. I think it kind of petered out maybe a year or two before. So 16 vendors confirmed. I have one from Cornwall. I have one from Pembroke. I have one from Brockville. I have, I think, one from Kingston. I have one from Montreal, and the rest are just a lot of guys like me, Ottawa, local guys that are doing things out of their garage, or they're doing things, they're shows only. I have the boys from 5 Ton Records, and they're awesome. They're local. Bud's Records in Cornwall is the guy that's coming down from there. There's a Montreal dealer, like I mentioned. We are a week away. Oh, my God.
The 19th, right?
The 19th.
Yeah.
So Saturday, November 19th, and here we go again. I've gone back to my roots because I'm that type of guy. Alexander Community Center, right in the heart of the neighborhood I grew up, loving hard rock and hair bands and metal. That's Community Center. That is so funny that the people I grew up with at that community center as friends now run it.
Nice.
So I contacted them and I'm like, can we do it here? Absolutely. There's free parking there. And the beauty about Alexander Community Center is it's 20 minutes to Barrhaven, 20 minutes to Canada, and 20 minutes Orleans. So suburbs people, you cannot complain. And for those people like me who hate to pay for parking, hello, it's not downtown. So it is right in a good central location. It's a smaller venue, like it's the size of a gym, so it's big enough.
Yeah.
It's not a massive venue, but you're going to have thousands and thousands of records and thousands of people itching to get out and actually dig again, because honestly, the generation of click and collect is I don't get it.
No.
As a pure vinyl guy, I don't get the click and collect.
No.
Get out there,
You
dig
gotta
in the
feel it.
vinyls, look at the covers, discover, pull out your phone and look it up and check the genre and give it a little listen and give it a try and then post it on my hashtag.
Okay, so Jason, what time is that at?
That's 1:30 to 5.
Nice.
So, and it's Saturday, November 19th, 1:30 to 5, Alexander Community Center. I'm going to be blasting it all over my Instagram.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that as well.
Yeah. We'll push it.
And
Instagram,
also.
Facebook, it's going to be all over it.
Yeah,
I've already been telling people about it.
Yeah.
People that I know that collect. I'm like, listen, this is where you need to go. this Saturday. You need to go.
Yeah.
Sorry, what time was it at again?
1:30.
Yeah.
We only got about an hour to set up. 12:30 to 1:30 is all we had to set up. So we're going to be scrambling in there. And then the minute we can get it open, we'll get everybody in. 1:30 to 5. We'll be monitoring how many people are in the place. And, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't. Be comfortable and get out there and get into crates again. Because,
man.
Like 613 Flea, it's great, but there's 2 vendors and then a couple of guys who think they're selling records and they're exorbitantly priced. No, everybody will be. They know the Ottawa market. All these vendors know. I've actually spoken to the Montreal guys saying, you do know that the Ottawa market's a little bit weaker when it comes to value-wise. He goes, yeah, been there before, and I know to price it a little bit later, a little properly for our area, right? And it's free admission.
Yep.
So get out and do it.
Fantastic.
Dig.
And what I got to say about, like, I've been out to Jayson's place and I've gotten albums from him, and they're in great condition for the money that you're paying for them. It's not exorbitant. You're not paying an arm and a leg for an album. Like, I picked up my REO Speedwagon that I've been looking for forever, and it's in mint condition. It was in amazing condition when I got it. The one that you picked up for me in the States, I listened to it before I gave it to my friend. Yeah. Great condition.
That's awesome.
So it's a good place to go.
I even have one of the sellers is an audiophile guy only. So if you have those vinyl guys that are looking for perfect vinyl, there's one of the sellers. He's one of the best reputation in the city. He's going to be there as well. Even Birdman, who used to run all these shows, he's there.
Really?
So yeah,
cool.
And he was very, very supportive, and he's really help get the word out because he's the one who run the big mega shows before.
Yep.
And I think he's ready to pass the baton on.
Nice.
And if he is, I'm glad to take it on, and because I just love, like, I know I am going to leave this venue broke. I may sell a ton of records, but I am going to leave it broke, but I'm going to have a ton of records under my sleeves, and my son's going to be the same, and we're just itching to look in other people's crates. Like, that's the type of collector I am. I'm not here to sell, to make money. I'm here to just get more records.
Amazing.
Yep.
Thank you for being here, Jayson.
Oh, wait, we have the one question we haven't asked him yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I already know the answer.
Well, I know, but we still ask it.
Yeah.
It's just part of the
80s
show.
or 90s?
For
your favorite genre.
80s.
Yeah. we knew that, but it's just that we ask it every show.
Because I'm 90s, he's 80s, right?
But I love to DJ 90s.
Yeah.
I'm still picking up gigs.
80s too.
I'm still picking up gigs here and there, and the 90s music goes over unbelievable on the dance floor.
90s is the last great era, man.
CeCe Peniston, finally.
Air Jordans. Air Jordans.
Yeah. Robin S. Show Me Love. That's probably my favorite song I love to spin because I have 3 or 4 unbelievable remixes that you've never heard.
You fit well on Feel It Radio because they love to do that stuff all the time. They have all these big remixes.
Send me those. Come on,
you
man.
need to come out and see me.
I'm gonna.
We're going to be out there Saturday.
I'm busy. I had kids, so yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Wow.
Brand new, right off the assembly line.
Yeah, they're great. Thanks again, Jayson. We can't wait to be there at the event, and make sure you guys go check out his Instagram page.
Yep.
My Vinyl Addiction 45.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun to watch, and then follow that hashtag. I can't wait to follow that. We're going to do that right when we're done.
Yep. Absolutely going to. Till next time, guys.
Thank you very much.
Boom.
We're good?
Yeah, except it's still going.
No.
Yeah. But he's here. He's listening.
I appreciate that.
He's in and out, though, so right now it's still going.